This is 5 on your side at noon, focused on you.
We begin with breaking news at noon. Within the last 45 minutes, we learned former Sweetie Pie's TV star Tim Norman will spend the rest of his life in prison. He's the man convicted of masterminding the death of his nephew, Andre Montgomery Jr., in 2016. Today, a judge sentenced him for conspiracy to commit murder for hire resulting in death, and mail fraud. He got life sentences for the first 2 counts and 240 months in prison for the third. Today, the driver accused in a hit-and-run crash that killed 4 young adults and critically injured 4 others is now in custody. It happened at Grand and Forest Park Avenue early Sunday morning. Thanks so much for being here at noon. I'm Kay Quinn. That driver is now facing multiple charges. 5 on your side's Alex Fees reports from St. Louis Police Headquarters.
Sources tell 5 on your side the driver who now faces charges, Cedric Dixon, turned himself into police. We understand he now faces 17 counts. Those include several counts of involuntary manslaughter, armed criminal action, and second-degree assault. Prosecutors say Dixon ran a red light on South Grand early Sunday and collided with an SUV, sending that vehicle over the guardrail and onto Forest Park Parkway down below. Killed in the crash were 18-year-old Brianna Johnson, 19-year-old Anthony Robinson, 20-year-old Corntrail McKinley, and 19-year-old Richard Boyd Jr. 4 other people were critically injured in that accident. Family members gathered at the scene of the crash yesterday and released balloons in their memory. This crash is now the 3rd deadliest car crash in St. Louis in the last 20 years, that according to MoDOT officials. Brianna Johnson was a senior at KIPP St. Louis High School nearing graduation, and she was pursuing a career in fashion. Her mom talks about her heartbreaking loss.
It's just an empty feeling, like you don't know, like you never know. Once they go out, you don't know what's gonna happen to them.
Brianna's mom hired an attorney who says he will demand answers from the police department regarding the family feeling unheard by officers the morning of the crash. There are GoFundMe pages set up for some of these teenage victims. Those details can be found in this story on KSDK.com. You can access that through the 5 on your side app. Reporting outside police headquarters, Alex Fees, 5 on your side.
Another crash in Midtown killed another person overnight. It happened in Van Deventer in Washington Avenue around midnight. Police say 2 cars crashed into each other, causing a Jeep to flip over multiple times before landing on its side. Police haven't released the victim's identity or any details about what caused that crash. All right, let's take a live look over St. Louis Lambert International Airport. Skies partly cloudy right now, a pretty morning. It is cool. There's a chance for some rain moving into the area this afternoon. Meteorologist Jim Castillo here with a look at our weather first forecast. How much rain are we expecting, Jim?
Yeah, Kay, looks like 2 inches at least, and some areas up to 3. So what we have is a really significant storm headed our way. And we started out with some clouds. Now that sunshine, like Kay was talking about, very nice out there. You notice some cooler weather. And then here we go. The flood watch has been expanded now into Jefferson County and places like St. Clair County in Illinois. So we're watching this as we get into the overnight hours and into tomorrow morning. And then we also have a wind advisory that starts up tomorrow morning for gusts to 45 miles an hour. So a lot going on. So over the next 12 hours, we're pretty calm right now. Notice the percentages of rainfall go up by 5 o'clock. So we'll watch to see if the radar actually starts to pick up some moisture and move it into our area as early as this evening, but it's overnight where that rain comes down heavy at times. If you're headed out now, like Kay was talking about, it's really beautiful, and those temperatures cooler today in the mid-50s, and we'll have much more on this incoming storm in just a few minutes.
All right, we'll see you then. Thank you, Jim. 3 Kansas City police officers are recovering today after being shot while executing a search warrant. The shooting led to an 18-hour standoff. Reporter Greg Payne spoke to a neighbor about what he saw.
Basically like watching an action movie.
Jason Hemby says he was in his house just off of Blue Ridge Boulevard in Kansas City when he noticed something odd.
I just saw the lights flashing outside, so I went out to the back door, and about that time I walked out and I heard some talking and then gunfire. And then, of course, my daughter ran up and said, "What's going on?" And it's like, I think there's a shootout going. And
police say on Tuesday at around 9:30 p.m., officers knocked on the door of a home on Blue Ridge Boulevard near 23rd Street South for a search warrant. A SWAT team then tried to get in when gunfire erupted. 3 officers were hit and taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Meanwhile, back at the scene, a standoff began. keeping Hemby up all night.
Because the kids were kind of freaked out a little bit, but it was more like an adrenaline thing to see what was going on next.
Hemby says he saw SWAT teams running around and what appeared to be snipers nearby. After roughly 18 hours, the standoff finally ended. 3 people were taken into custody and 1 man was found dead in the home.
We don't want to put our officers or anyone else in harm's way again. So that's why it took that long, is to use technology, using the video cameras and whatnot to just comb through that house, getting more and more confidence to enter the house physically.
The U.S. Department of Justice identified 50-year-old Jimmy Lewis Jr. as one of the people arrested during the standoff. Officials say he is also facing federal charges for alleged crimes unrelated to the standoff. As for the people living in the neighborhood, they're just happy the threat is over and the injured officers are recovering.
But it just goes to show the cops are doing their job, and you know, it's doing their duty and stuff like that. And it's like you're kind of freaked out a little bit, but that's what their job is. And I'm sorry to see that, you know, they got hurt.
That was Greg Payne reporting. Basketball fans, get ready. Arch Madness tips off in just a few minutes at Enterprise Center. 12 teams will be on the brackets for the first time in the tournament's 33-year history. That means more visitors and more security is needed. The tournament comes 2 weeks after 17-year-old Janae Edmondson was critically injured after she was struck by a reckless driver while she and her family walked downtown after a volleyball tournament. Now police are sharing next steps to protect players.
Extra patrols will be in the area, and both venues will be utilizing off-duty personnel and working secondary security. Additionally, there will be a detail for the St. Louis City Soccer Club home opener. We encourage anyone planning to attend any of these events to please leave your firearms at home, as these venues do not allow firearms.
The police department says officers have met with residential groups and businesses downtown for suggestions on patrol plans. Missouri Governor Mike Parson is in St. Louis today. Right now, he's signing a new bill giving state workers a pay raise. It will give workers an 8.7% increase. The new law goes into effect at the end of the month. Many Metro East parks are getting a big boost from state government. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker investing $60 million in 118 local park projects. The money will be used to help communities acquire land and develop recreational opportunities. Here's how some of the money is being divided up. Madison County gets $388,000. St. Clair getting the most, $600,000. Most of the counties in our area will be getting state funds.